Hello, welcome back to the podcast. You've got Eric here once again, but today not only do you have Eric, you've also got a very special guest, Spicy Ginger on the old Instagrams. Now, this is a podcast that I actually shot, filmed, recorded months ago. And the only reason I haven't posted is because I was devastated on the way it ended up. It ended up. Not that the conversation wasn't great, because actually this is my longest podcast I've ever done. It was over 2 hours long. It was just a great conversation, and in all honesty, we barely talked Toyota. it was there, and that's the reason I got her on the as a guest to begin with, is because she she's on Instagram and has a fourth gen. And they also have a class. I think it's a 77. I'm probably mistaken on that, but I believe it's a 77 FJ as well. But she's pretty big on Instagram, and I followed her for a long time, and I was really just admire her as a person. And I reached out to her. She's a California girl. She's a Cali girl. So, anyways, I reached out to her, and she said, "Yeah, I'll come on the podcast." So, anyways, I was super excited to have her, and it was just a great conversation. It was just, I mean, we talk about a lot of different things, and this is more of just a conversation than it is even a podcast. But it was just such a great and joyful. It was a very I enjoyed the conversation. It was just a very good conversation. I really enjoyed it. But anyways, I was devastated in the way it turned out, because for whatever reason, I believe it's probably I use Skype. I use Skype because I use my phone to record and audio and all that. My phone is my resource at the moment. I've recently got a laptop, so we're going to start working with that and trying to bring some different aspects in. But my point being is, I use Skype because it's the only one that lets me record and use it the way I need to use it. But over 2 hour conversation, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that. But at an hour and 30 minutes or somewhere around there, when I'm transferring this over to video or trying to use just the audio, even, it cuts off. So I lost the last half of the conversation, and I mean, I can't even listen to it. It's not even that I can't use it. I don't have it. It's gone. I don't have it at all. So I was just after that, I was just so bummed, and it's just taken me so long to get it out to you guys. But anyways, I won't make this any longer than it needs to be, because it's already over an hour and a half. But anyways, check her out on Instagram, Spicy Ginger. I'll of course link her in the bio here. And go give her a follow and give her some kind words. She's a really cool person, and just really inspirational. If you check her Instagram out, I think you'll understand where I'm coming from when I say that. All right, well, let's get to it. The last post you just made, that quote you made, was beautiful. So, can you quote that verbatim?
What I wrote
Yeah.
is so long. No, the one that I talked about, mental health, mental transformation.
Yes. That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Well, yeah, it was. It was a long time coming. I think it's like hard as a person to like be your own individual self without fear of judgment from others. So, especially when you work with all of these people and you hear them just talk about other people all the time, you're like, oh, don't do that. They'll talk about you. Oh, don't do that. And you just get this fear of people talking about you. And then you realize, I don't care. Like, do I care if those type of people talk about? No, I don't, because they're actually miserable people. And I know that from my own experiences. So, COVID, there was like two good things that came from COVID. I'll say two. It took it back to I've always worked. Like, went back to work when my kids were 3 months old. I started working at 14. I've always worked.
Okay.
So when I had to be home with COVID, I was with my kids 24/7. The most I'd
Absolutely.
ever been with them ever. and I was working remotely, so I would be on, like, I would start at 6:30 in the morning, and then I would have to do like school with them, and it's really hard with, one was kindergarten, and then the
Oh
other
yeah.
one special needs, so it was a lot of work. And then we got fired in the middle of COVID, and we had to train our replacement. Like, in order for us to get severance, we had to train the people that replaced us. So all of that was crappy, but then it was nice because it made me realize how much I was missing with my kids. Like, when I was sitting there and doing all of this stuff, I was like, oh my God, actually, like, this is good. Like, I actually get to see what I've been missing with my kids, all of the things that also, for my daughter, I realized they're like, oh, she can do this, this, and this. And then when I'm sitting there doing it with her, I'm like, no, she can't. You guys are just wanting to pass her. So it was like, that was another realization.
Right.
School system. They're just like, oh, yep, she did this, this, and this. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And you're sitting there, you're like, there's no possible way she did those things. So you guys are just passing her along. And then it made you pick your circle, right? You had to pick your circle. All of a sudden, it was like, especially California was so strict about everything, like insanely strict.
Right.
So, I mean, pick who you want at Christmas, pick who it was just absolutely insane.
That is insane.
So it was good because it made you, in a sense, like, you can invite back in who you wanted to, because you're like, okay, if I only get these people to hang out with, who do I want those people to be? All right, well, then it made your circle smaller, and it almost killed off relationships that you're not quite sure why you had in the first place. Not necessarily why. They had already served their purpose. Like, there's a whole thing, like, there's friends that are for like a season, there's friends that are for a short time, and then there's friends that are for a lifetime. Not everyone has to be your lifetime friend. You don't have to be friends with, just because you're friends with someone when you're 20 years old does not mean you're going to be the same person. Hopefully you're not the same person later in life. So it made some friendships and reevaluate friendships in my life. So
completely understand. Yes.
And that post was a lot of like, it was like a mental transformation of, yeah, everybody sees the physical transformation of, I lost a ton of weight from when I was younger to what I look like now. But then most recently, it's like, I've become a different person. I would rather sit here and like clap and cheer for someone and tell them how amazing they're doing than sit with a bunch of other women talking about what we don't like about them. Because what does that do? Like, what are you getting out of that? That's not doing anything. So it just made me reevaluate a lot of things, and it created new transformation and growth.
That was very nice, and you worded it on your post very eloquently, and I really commend.
Oh, about sitting at my table.
Yes, that was very nice. It really was.
At your table. I mean, when you're at a table and those women are talking, or men, whoever, if they're talking about other people the whole time, what do you think they do when you get up and walk away? Do you think they're not going to be saying stuff about you? You'd hope not, but it's probably not true. And so you need to pick. Not everyone needs to have a seat at your table. Like, you have a table, and you have the power to be like, you know what, actually this is not the space for you. This is not for you. I remember when I went on a work trip to Southern California. There you go. Prime example. Went to Southern California. We're in Orange County, and we're, of course, I'm on a stupid diet at that time because I do the whole like, let's eat clean thing. So I was eating clean. My kid and my dog. I was eating clean. Yes, not now. And I'm not on the phone with Kylie anymore. Go with Remy. They're playing tug of war. And so I'm sitting there, and there was all these beautiful women, right? I mean, Botox galore, just beautiful.
Oh, okay.
Typical Southern California, like, housewife women, the ones you would see on TV.
Okay.
And they're just sitting there, and I'm there with my friends that I do a lot of adventures with. I'm gonna shut the door 1 second. Lucia, take Remy to the living room. Lucia. They play tug of war with a towel. And I'm sitting at a table with my friend Sierra. We do a lot of trips together. We started doing trips for work, and then we just like to adventure. Okay. And they're all just being catty. And one gets up and goes to the bathroom. And then you hear them all start talking about her, and you're sitting there going, oh my God, she's at dinner with her girlfriend. And the moment she walks away to go to the bathroom, they start her friends start talking about her. So then it was like that was my first aha moment. to make me think, you know what about people that you're sitting there with and they're talking about someone? They could very well be the same people that talk about you. So it was just a post about that.
Well, it's very true, and I liked it. It was really nice. I mean, I know that you kind of touched into the COVID made it kind of push that through. So I mean, like in California, you guys really dealt with it really hardly. I mean here where we're at in the Midwest and in Missouri,
envious of everywhere.
I mean,
envy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with you. It really, besides like the inside of McDonald's being closed, it really didn't affect it too much.
Yeah. I mean, here's a joke. Like it's a joke. It is a joke.
Yeah.
We went to Colorado this summer and it broke my heart because when we were coming back, Colorado, no mask. Utah, no mask.
Yeah.
Nevada, depend on where you are at. Nevada goes back and forth depending on, how over it they are at the moment. And then we get back to California. The moment we get there, everything's closed and you have to have a mask everywhere. And my kids are just like, you have to have a mask again. I'm like, God, I need to leave. I need to leave this place. Like, this is just, and then now they're pushing our wonderful governor, who we can't seem to get rid of. I mean, come on. We can't even get rid of him when we try.
Oh my gosh.
We're the laughing stock. When there's like all like the funny things and then it's like, oh, I live in the state that everybody makes fun. Like, I don't even want to tell people where I'm from most of the time. And when people are like, where are you from? I'm like, Northern California. I can't even physically say California. Like, I have to say Northern California because I can't say California because it just feels like a giant lump of disaster. Whereas if I say Northern California, I'm like, we're a little different. I like to consider us different.
Well, it's like Korea. I'm from Korea. North Korea? No. South Korea.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, that's almost what it feels like. You're like, I don't want to claim being from like Southern California, but then at the same time, the funniest thing is a lot of like the Forerunner community. Most of them are in Southern California. There's a big Toyota community down there, not up here.
So okay, well, this is a Toyota podcast, so let's dive into that a little bit. Like, so we can talk about whatever we want to, but at the end of the day, let's touch on the Toyotas a little bit. So okay, so you have a 4th gen, and you also have a classic FJ.
Yes.
All right. Let's go ahead and talk about them.
So we have the 78 FJ40,
Awesome.
and it's actually. So he had a 77, and then something dramatic happened. I'm not laughing. It's just like, oh God, every time I talk about it. It was this one. I mean, we're Toyota. Like I have a Toyota grill above my bed.
Oh, okay. I see that. Okay.
I legit have a Toyota grill above my bed.
Badass.
We have Toyota throw pillows. My husband and I fight when I buy hats. I'm like, oh, I got you a hat and me a hat. And he's like, you got you hats. I was like, yeah, exactly. I got us some hats. But so we had that. He got in a car accident on a freeway. It was built very nice. It was December, so it actually, the only time it rains here is basically December.
Okay.
And there was dogs on the freeway.
Okay.
So when you're going 70 miles an hour, which you shouldn't in that anyways, on a rainy freeway, and there's a dog in the road, you hit it, you don't hit it, no matter what, you're rolling. So once that happened, we no longer had that. And his father has the 78 that we have just kept at the house.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden, this summer, I was like, I want to be able to drive it this summer. Let's just say it didn't happen. We've done stuff with it. It runs, but can't go over 40 in it. So it's not quite, and I told him, I'm like, I don't care necessarily about power steering. I just need really good brakes. Really good brakes.
Yeah.
I need to go over 40. So
it's an FJ40, so I mean it's perfect, right?
Yes. I know, he was so funny. I was like, I got up to 40 in it the other day. He looked at me. I was like, 38. It was 38. And he was like, you went faster in it than I have. And I was like, it was when I was making that ridiculous reel. I had my son in the passenger seat with me. And I was like, Cooper, you want to go for a drive in the 40? And he was all, okay, mommy. So we got on it, and he's like, "Where are we going? How fast are you going?" I'm like, "I'm not even going 40. It just feels a lot faster than this with the top off." And then we have the 4th gen.
So according to like Instagram, I mean, you're killing it on Instagram. In all honesty, your reels and your stories. I mean, as far as Instagram's concerned, that FJ40 goes 100 miles an hour. You just admitted to the world that it only goes 40 miles an hour. But
I mean, in the video, it shows, and I'm like, "Can this weekend come any faster?" And it's hovering right at 30. It shows the odometer, and it's not quite 40. I was like, "This is how fast my weekend's coming." But yeah.
So the 4th gen.
The 4th gen started as my car.
Okay.
And then after the car accident happened, we decided we had to have a gas conscious vehicle, because let's just say that thing gets terrible gas mileage, and gas in California is ridiculous.
Oh my.
So
imagine.
It's so bad right now. So
Wait, hold on. How much is it there right now?
So our Costco where I live, which is the cheapest place, is $4.39 a gallon.
$4.39.
So for 87, our lowest octane in California is 87. So other states are different.
We have 87.
Yeah. So I've been somewhere else where there's like 85 in some states and stuff.
Colorado is 85.
I think Utah has lower octane too. So like I went there and I was like, "Oh, no, I don't want you." Like,
yeah. The first time I was to Colorado, I seen 85. I'm like, "What is this? I've never even seen this."
Yes.
But yeah, we're at like 309 to 319. So we're like a complete.
I work in gas. It's
oh really?
It's depressing. My life today, when I was typing up, and I'm like, "Oh look, the stock market gas went up almost 3 cents." Oh look, the stock market. Like every day I close out my job, and I'm like, my life sucks. I know when gas is gonna go up every time.
It's a very evil entity.
It is. It's so terrible. And the funniest thing of all is, like, you assume that they mark it up a lot. California gas is so much more expensive for multiple reasons, but one is because they tax the shit out of it. Like, there's just taxes on top of taxes for California. The gas companies actually mark up your gas less when it's costing more. So I remember when I started there, because when my old job had ended, I started there last December, and the markup over the top of the gas wasn't as high, was way higher than it is now, because they know people are already having to pay an arm and a leg without them making their profit on it.
Okay.
So when gas is lower, they actually make better profits than they do when it's higher.
Well, let's go backwards then. I mean, that makes more sense. All right, so I interrupted you on the 4th gen. I wanted to hear how expensive gas was out there. So it's approximately a dollar more a gallon.
Yes.
All right, so let's go back to 4th gen and where we're going there.
So we decided to get a gas conscious vehicle, and I'm like, we call it my Lesbaru. I know it sounds terrible, but my Lesbaru, my kids call it the Lesbaru. So we got a Subaru Crosstrek, and they were called like an XD at the time. So we got the Crosstrek because it needed better gas mileage. Well, when that happened, I'm the girl. So I get the car, and then Casey started driving the 4Runner. And so it's like a constant fight. We're like those people that like fight when we like go to, like, if we're wheeling or we're doing anything, we're like, "No, it's my turn to drive. It's my turn," because it's like we're always fighting over it. So the agreement is, when we sell our house and move, he gets a Taco and I get the 4Runner back.
Well, I guess that works.
I will take it gladly. I'm like super attached to it. I drove to every doctor's appointment in that. I mean, it was like, my son was born in it. Fun fact. So I'm very attached to my 4Runner.
Born in it. Okay, cool. So so you've had it for 7 years then.
We got it. We had an FJ Cruiser.
Okay.
I had an FJ Cruiser. It was a 2007. We got rid of it because those suicide doors in the back are not very helpful when you have car seats.
I get it. FJ Cruisers are cool though.
Oh, I mean, we liked it. It was
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Before that, Casey had a we've always had Toyotas. So before that, Casey had a FJ80.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, yeah, we kind of regret that choice now, but we were young. And it had no power whatsoever. I mean, it sounded like an
Right.
airplane taking off. Anytime we would go to Tahoe, my dad would pass us in his Duramax hauling a 40-foot trailer, and we're like,
Yeah.
come on, let's go, trying to like get up the mountains in Tahoe. So we were young, and we're like, we just need a car that has, more power. And then we got the FJ Cruiser, and then we had a kid, and we were like, we need more doors. So then we went
Yeah.
to the Runner. So it's like the progression of vehicles. And then now we look back and we're like, wish we would have kept that.
Oh my God, like the FJ80. I mean, I know the market there is more than the market is here, but I don't even. I mean, an FJ80 there. I mean, what is that probably going for? Probably 20 grand at least.
So Casey got a wild hair up his butt before we. When was he looking to get it? We had the 4Runner, and he was looking to buy one, and they just ran so expensive. Hi, I'm talking about you. He's like, oh, nice. He just got home.
Bring him on if you want to. Yeah.
Case, come here. The sound will end up crappy. Hold on, let me give him the other ear. Come say hi. He, from here. He doesn't like Apple. He can't use my iPad.
I'm not an Apple guy either. I'm an Android guy, but
yeah, he knows it.
Those are for kids in elementary school.
You know what? We learned on apples in elementary school because that was what we did. I was just.
How's it going?
How much were 80s when we were looking at it when you were going to get another one again?
Oh, mine? Or the one I was going to get?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to pay $5,500 for a fully locked 96.
But what year was this?
But it was pretty rough.
50.
I
So
don't remember.
12. Probably 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
It's probably 2012 when we were trying to do this.
okay, so you said so. Oh, in 2012, you're trying to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the market hasn't gotten real crazy at that point yet.
No.
No.
They hadn't taken off. Their popularity had
Yeah.
gotten to where it is.
LX 470. It wasn't locked. But it had like a small lift. They got that one for right around $5,000.
They were all in the Bay Area. Funny.
But it was like
Okay.
it was a little beat up. But it was like the guy didn't even clean it. It was like totally full of dog hair and everything. And then I looked underneath. I don't wheel it. I looked underneath, and the link brackets in the rear were all bent up. I'm all no. That turned me off. But now I'd be like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. But then it was
Yeah, because I mean, a rolled one would go for 15 grand now.
yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
I sold my 92 for $4,000, I think.
Holy
92,
shit.
That was the one I said what we regret. That was the list.
Yeah. Wow.
That one was the 2F or the 3FE and drum brakes. It was not good.
It was a dog.
But so yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, okay, it was a dog, yeah, but Toyotas really aren't known for going fast. They're not known for powerhouses. They're just they just keep going is the thing,
I
Yeah,
know.
definitely. Yeah, that one was. And the automatic is what killed it, because they put
Oh,
those engines in the 40s and the 60s with 5-speeds, and they're
Yeah.
like awesome. But the 80 was just a big gas hog, no power, no
Yeah.
brakes. It was scary. It was bad. And I was like, I'm either gonna put a bunch of money into this thing, which I don't have time for,
Yeah.
We were young, and we were young.
or just buy. At the time, I bought an FJ Cruiser and
Right.
didn't do anything to it, lifted it and drove it. So
Yeah, oh yeah.
you know.
I think you have background blur on, so you're both blurry at sometimes.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that,
I'm
but
blurry
it
for sure.
automatically did it. Oh, I
Nobody
just
wants to
turned
see
you
my face.
around. I just turned you around. I'm not trying to blur you. It just has the blur on. I'm special. Where's the settings for it? I haven't used Skype in so long.
Oh.
Oh, I found it. I found
There
it.
you go.
I found it.
Now I can see your cool headrest too. You're the FJ girl.
Oh yeah.
I know.
I can see
remember when
clearly now.
I remember when he told me, he was like, hey, would you get mad if I did this? And I was like, no, just make sure it doesn't fall on my head in the middle of the night, and I give no cares. And then I went and I hung Christmas lights off of it. I'm like,
I love it. So that's a real grill, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
awesome.
super safe in California with earthquakes. You should put a grill over the top of your head.
Yeah, you guys have all kinds of
We like to
awesome.
live on the edge. We like to live on the edge.
Yeah, apparently.
I wanted to make the lights work, but I haven't figured that out yet. So.
Oh, well, yeah, you need to do that for sure. Well,
That's why I hung the Christmas lights off. I was like, oh, we'll give it some light.
well, I mean, okay, the headlights are obviously 12 volt, but I mean,
Yeah. Well, because I was thinking about trying to figure out how to step it down, do that. I'm like, man, you can just like make fake, 110.
whatever, yeah. It'd be cool if the headlights. It'd be cool if the headlights worked. I gotta admit.
It would be.
It would be.
Okay, so we're on Toyota. So we're on the where are we at with the where are we at now? You guys have have
We've
lived
had a lot.
Toyota. Okay.
I mean, this is to where we've gotten. So because he drove the 40 FJ40 through high school, and then you basically, when did you get the 80?
Out of high school.
Just out of high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just out of high school, I got the 80 series, lifted it and stuff, and then I went.
He painted it.
And then I painted it.
Not a good color. I mean,
It was a good color.
it's a disagreement we'll have for the rest of our lives.
Way better than the original color.
But
Well,
Okay,
okay.
I painted
color?
it black. It was a beautiful color. It was called Black Walnut Pearl. It's a Lexus color.
Black walnut
Lexus, and I think some of the Camrys had it. It's a really, really.
it was
pretty
when he
dark
was
brown.
going to school to work on cars, and so
Okay.
for painting, right? So for courses and stuff like that, he ended up, painting his car.
Okay.
I don't like the color of dark brown on a vehicle, and he does. So
Very pretty.
Ah.
One of my favorite colors.
I think I know the color. Yeah, I think I know the color, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it's
I
super
mean,
dark
hey,
brown.
sounds good to me. Yeah.
Well, it was the original color was like the champagne and dark and brown bottom.
Okay.
So no, it was not. It was so it had the brown interior and everything. I'm like, well, I can't go anything but brown. So I went with that dark brown. It worked okay. But
I
sold it
like-
because
I like
it
it.
needed a bunch more work. And I was like,
And we were so excited. I'll never forget. We were test driving the FJ Cruiser, and we were in the Bay Area. I don't know why they're all in the Bay Area, but we're in the Bay Area. And he got on the freeway, and I was like, "Look at that shit!" And the first time we went to Tahoe, we're like, "Oh, we're passing cars!" Like, heck yes! Because I just remember we would go snowboarding when we were younger, and we'd have the car loaded up with everyone, all the boards on top, and we were just like. Meh. Like the snow wouldn't even blow off the windshield is what it felt like because we
Yeah.
were going so slow.
So the 4.0 is like a big upgrade from where you came from.
Oh,
oh
God.
yeah. Well, like I said, the first 80 series had the 3F, and then they went to the
Yeah.
whatever the next one was, the overhead cam one, which was a lot better. So that's why when I was going to get one, I was like, I'll just get rid of this one, and then eventually I'll get a later 96, 97.
Yeah.
The last one.
Because it was a 92, right?
Because my idea was like I'd put a, LQ4 or something out of a truck in it,
Okay, yeah.
LS style. Or that was my plan. Like I don't have time to work on it, but this is my daily driver. I don't have time to work on it, and so-
Right.
Plus I have to change the rear end. There's all kinds of stuff. I'm like, whatever. I'll just get another one eventually. But that ship might have sailed. We'll see. I don't know.
Oh, and now you have to win the lottery to afford one.
Yeah.
It's
He wants-
ridiculous.
I don't know. He wants a taco. You have to win the lottery to buy a taco,
Well,
too.
yeah,
So.
Well, I mean, okay. We're living in a world though that let's just say an F350 Platinum is like $100,000,
Yeah.
and I just can't wrap my head around $100,000 truck.
Yeah.
And it's just a truck.
Yeah, and then they're too fancy anyways. It's like, why do you need all this fancy stuff?
Oh, when you see all the good people around here with their lariats and all the high countries and all the stuff driving around, you're like, oh, you have stupid money. You have like stupid money to put into a truck that you're gonna trash.
Oh my gosh.
They just trash them because most of the ones that own that, like, so where we live, there's pot grower money,
Okay.
and then there's like ag money.
Okay.
So you can tell which one's which by what vehicle and if they're ridiculous. If it's got a ridiculous lift, the wheels and the tires, the suspension, the person driving
Okay,
it.
well-
I mean,
What you just said there is a dynamic that we know nothing about here. So what you just said, let's split that up. So which one is the weed grower? Which one is the ag grower?
so the pot growers always have basically GMCs or Silverados. They're always white, 95% of the time.
Okay.
White or black. They have suspension on them. They're lifted, and 90% of the time, it depends on which type of grower they are. So if they're like up in the mountains grower, it'll be just bang. The whole sides of it, they usually don't have white ones. So they will have one of color. And the whole sides of it will be banged in because they give no fucks. They will just drive it into a mountainside. They give no cares because they get a new truck every 2 years. 'Cause
Okay.
They make ridiculous amount of money. So they just trash them. And then there's the younger ones that I'm not quite sure where they grow, but it's not on a mountain. And they always have, they're the ones that are always white. And then there's the ag growers, and they're the ones that have like the lariats and the high countries.
Okay.
And you can tell the difference. They don't always, they're basically bone stock. They're just, how they bought them. And then there's
Just
the
clean
growers.
Or just mild
Okay.
lift.
Or a mild lift, nothing ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like they don't, it's pretty ridiculous around here.
Okay.
When you see, you see a 16-year-old, I mean, basically anywhere ages from like 16 to 22, and you're like, no.
That's all daddy's money.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Daddy's cartel money.
Yes. A lot of cartel.
That's actually so hilarious you brought that up because that wasn't even from where I'm at to where you're at, even the marijuana industry wasn't even something that was on the radar when I was thinking about it. But then you brought it up, and I'm like, wow, that is another. See, you said you're boring, you don't know what to talk about. See, that's something that isn't here. That doesn't exist. I mean, we just started
if you
medical
wanted- If you
marijuana.
had a spotlight and it wasn't this late in the year, I could walk around my neighborhood and show you everybody's backyards.
Is it that prevalent?
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, pretty much every other yard has.
Yeah. About every other one.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That
It's
is
crazy.
wild to me.
I know. Well, like growing up here, you become numb to it.
I imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah, like we just grew up here, so you're numb to it. And then I remember watching. Did you watch the Netflix Murder Mountain?
Yeah. Murder Mountain.
So it's
yeah.
about the whole, like, the trade, like we call them trimmigrants. It's a term.
Yeah.
I don't think it's in the dictionary necessarily yet, but trimmigrants are basically people that immigrate here for the months of it's usually September to like December, depends on how big of like indoor outdoor grow it is. They come here from all over the world, no joke. I mean, most of them are actually foreign, and they hold up signs. People joke about like at Home Depot, and they're like, trimmer looking for work. Trimmer. I mean, some of them will advertise how many pounds they can trim in a day. Like,
That's so
just-
wild.
yeah, so they just stand on off ramps and they wait for someone to pick them up and take them to their ranch, which is the sketchiest thing ever. So then Murder Mountain came out, and we're watching it, and I'm like, oh God, this is what everybody's going to know our area for. This is sketchy.
So-
but at the same time, it's kind of true. So I'm not sure.
So that's the Murder Mountain was in Humboldt County.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Southern Humboldt,
Oh.
which is. I don't know,
So we're in Mendocino County, and then like
Okay.
Humboldt's just above us. And
Oh,
then
okay.
Trinity's over here, so like it's known as like the Emerald Triangle. So the northern part of our
Oh.
county, southern part. I mean, most of Humboldt, but prevalently a lot. That was based in southern part of Humboldt County. So
Wow.
like we drive through there all the time. I mean, that's yeah. Not Murder
Well,
Mountain. I don't go to Murder Mountain. My great uncle lived by Murder Mountain, but
Really? See, now this is wild to me. Like, I'm actually really happy we touched the subject. We're completely off Toyotas now, but it's really, I don't know, that's just really wild to us here. I mean, I watched the documentary, and like, I was really intrigued by the whole documentary, honestly. And it's well, for one, that the country that they're growing in, and well, I guess that you're in, that's insanely beautiful country.
Why do you think we're still here? That's like the only thing that keeps us here. We live an hour away from the Pacific Ocean. We're a half an hour from Redwood Trees, 4 hours from Tahoe, and 2 hours from San Francisco. I mean, like, where we're located is so amazing. But again, we're in California, so it's the scenery. I'm trying to take as much of it in as possible because I don't plan to stay here forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like back on the pot thing, it used to be it was just out in the hills people did it,
Yeah.
And you didn't see it. You always knew it was being done and stuff, but now it's like I said, every other backyard has it in it, and it's just
Well, excuse me, they ruined it when they tried to when they made it legal, they took it to a point where they made it so hard for places to become legal. Like, what they have to pay, the licensing, all this stuff, like, they made it almost unattainable. So for the ones that were trying to do it the right way,
Right.
it just made it hard. And the ones that were making such wonderful, black market is still how they make money. So the ones that were doing it before were just like, whatever, I'm gonna wait till I get caught. Like, all these other people are going under trying to do it the correct way because the county was just getting greedy instead of being realistic and making like a realistic figure where most people would, pay the licensing and do all of that stuff. They made it unrealistic and almost unattainable for the ones that, like, yeah, they grew pot for a living, but they weren't living extravagantly. They weren't the ones that had the brand new trucks and it was just their way of like making money. So there's different types of growers where we live. Like, there's literally like the people that's what they do, and they just grow pot just like people grow corn and people have like rice fields. Like, it's just, that's what they did. It wasn't because they were trying to live extravagantly. It wasn't because it was just their lifestyle, and lots of generations have done it here for a very long time. Like,
Right.
some of the generations that have done here for a very long time, people would look at them and they'd have no idea that they are people that grow pot, because it's like the generalization, you assume that a pot grower looks like a certain type of person, but then growing up here you realize it could be every kind of person. It's everybody. Like, Joe looks like he's a farmer, but Joe actually grows pot. Like, it's just, you can't really necessarily tell who does it, so they just made it almost impossible.
Pot there is to what I guess us Midwestern would be soybeans and corn. It's just a typical farmer, but that's just their crop.
Yeah. And then there's the ones that get crazy. There's like I said, like, there's the black market where they make so much more money, but our market's oversaturated. So a lot of people we have to sell. I don't grow. People have to sell. If I grew, we would have a taco and a 4Runner. People have to sell to out of state to make any money, but then it gets more crazy.
Which that's illegal.
It's illegal, like, it's crazy.
Okay.
Like, basically right now you'll see a bunch of random U-Hauls driving around. You're like, man, all these people aren't moving.
Yeah, like, it's not like it's commercialized. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Like, you don't just see, like, here we have vineyards. Vineyards are commercial. There's vineyards all over,
right,
in plain sight. There are more and more greenhouses going up that you can see that are legal grows, whatever.
Okay.
We had like Flocana,
but
Snoop Dogg has a ranch here. Like, legit has a ranch where we live.
That's wild.
But that's only been the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Before that, it was all just out in the hills, or they made it legal enough to where you could grow 26 plants of your own. But who the hell's gonna smoke 26 plants? And worth of weed. That's just ridiculous, right? So obviously they were doing something else with it. They weren't just growing it for themselves. So that's when they started doing the whole, like, they legalized it, but then you have to do these permits to be able to sell it to a proper, cannabis place or whatever. You have to,
because there's places like you can sell it to like medicinal places.
Yeah,
like
you can do that, but
So, like you said, your neighbors grow. So, like like everybody that grows, like I'm just saying, like in your neighborhood, they're growing. Are they selling to dispensaries, or are they growing for personal consumption, or is it like black market?
I honestly don't know. I would like to think that it was going to a dispensary, but probably not. So
These-
it's not, because that's not where the money is.
Them probably
Okay.
not.
You know, like these
Them
people.
probably not.
Yeah, well, they're probably not even legal. You know, they kind of just wait till they get caught, basically.
There are. I mean, there are the people that do it right. Like there
And they are,
honestly are.
Yeah, and those ones are selling to dispensaries, and you know, the sad thing is, you obviously don't make as much money that way.
Right.
So these other people that are doing it just purely for money, yeah, they're selling it, you know, across state lines or taking it to wherever, you know, they're handing it off to a middleman. You know, they just grow it and somebody else buys it from them. They turn around and ship it wherever.
They
and sell
drive
it.
to the Midwest.
Yeah,
I
you know,
mean, and
that's
sell it.
where the money is. Unfortunately, you know, so there is still that. But because it's not worth nothing, you know.
Here,
I mean,
because you can get
you
it.
can't even give it away unless you know somebody. You know, it's hard to.
That is-
it's crazy.
That to me, that's like really crazy, honestly. So I mean, like, okay, so you grew up in the. Well, so I guess you're from that area originally, always.
Yes. Yeah.
So you grew up with it. I mean, in your DNA, honestly. So you've always
Yeah.
been around it, and now it's like completely legal and it's everywhere. So you're pretty numb to it. So, like for me, like it just became medically legal in Missouri, and like if you get your license, you can have I think 5 plants, but it's got to be in a locked cabinet. So it's not real like
It
I don't know,
started
still
that way
prevalent.
here.
Yeah.
It started that way here before they got to where it is now. Because I've gone to a place in Nevada that sells it. I've been to places here that sell it, and it's very crazy how they do it. But you don't have to have like a card. Like I don't have to go in and be like, I have anxiety. This is why
Right.
I would like to, be able to have this
Yeah, well, that's 'cause
on my
it's
person
100%
because it's
legal.
100% legal. So it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. The whole idea of where we live, why we're on the map. I remember when I used to work at my old job and I'd be like, I work at da-da-da, and our name Mendocino was in it. People were like, oh, you guys have like pot fields there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, like there's not like,
Not
it's not like
really.
it's on the side of the road and you're driving down the freeway and there's just like fields of marijuana. I mean, they're in the mountains, but like it just everybody knows where we're from because of weed.
That's yeah. So okay, like you said, like people are doing it like black market now, and you said until they get caught. Like, how is there really anybody after them? Is it really that policed?
It is, but I have a conspiracy that, or not a conspiracy, but just that they pick off a few. You know, they call it camp. It's the whatever, I can't even remember what it stands for. But they go and they they'll bust a few gardens. Every year they'll do however many, go and rip out their plants and everything.
They put a big production on. They'll rip them out and pour stuff on them so they'll mold, and they'll take a bunch of pictures for the newspaper so it looks
Yeah.
like they're.
But they know where every single one of them is.
It's very easy. They need sun.
They know where they're at. They're only-
Yeah.
Just one here and there. Because the sad thing is, because our area, I mean, that's a huge.
It's our industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Sadly, it's the industry. It's what brings money
the
into our
money
area.
that supports our area. That's where it comes from.
That's
we
why
have
all the
lots
bombing.
of vineyards and stuff like that, and there is logging still, and kind of started back up again, and lumber mills, but that's nothing compared to that part.
It's
And
what keeps our mom and pop businesses in,
so if
in
they didn't
business.
let them go, then there would be no money here.
There
So
would be
they kind
none.
of got to let it, slide.
Right.
But
I mean, that's how the boutiques stay open. That's how the body shops stay open, is the pot growers, driving awful on the roads and running into things. I mean, it's just, it's
unfortunately,
it's our bread and butter for the area, which is terrible, but it is what it is.
Well, I mean, maybe since you grew up to it and you've lived it, it sounds like that's terrible. But to me, that sounds I don't know, like very I'm trying to think of the word. Like, it sounds really neat. I don't know, but I mean, it's just really weird to me. I mean, in all honesty, but it sounds really, really fun and really just really, really
Well,
different.
It wouldn't be if it wasn't the whole sketchy part about it.
Yeah.
We
if
were
it was
robbed when we
100%
were
legal,
younger
if it was
because
100% legal and there was no crime still involved in it, it'd be whatever.
I
It is
feel like
what it
it's
is.
been better lately, though.
Yeah.
You don't hear
but-
about as many like break-ins or stuff
Well,
like
no,
that.
but it just brings in a lot of weird
It
people.
does. You get
Because they
weird.
think they're going to come here and make a bunch of money, and some do, and some don't. But like the whole Murder Mountain thing, if you watch that, I mean,
Yes.
it's scary because these people come in from Russia and all this, and they don't care. They don't care about these trim against. They don't,
Yeah.
it's just purely money for them.
I mean, you hear the
So
people that
it's not,
they come to this area and they try to work on, like, if they had a good experience with whatever farmer they worked with last year, they'll continue to work with that farmer again. Like, they try to get back with that person because for them there's still a lot of danger involved in it. They're going out into the middle of nowhere. Bad things do
Yeah.
happen to them. So
Well, and just because that's the thing is, I think they tried to make it legal to try to take some of the crime and the people stealing it away, but there's still going to be people that do that. They're going to be lazy and not want to grow it themselves, so they're going to go steal it from somebody else. So then you got all that. Just because it's legal, we're still going to try to steal it from you.
So you
or,
just-
or they think
most of
or-
our like break-in armed robberies are homes, and it's people that are targeted because they probably grow.
Okay.
So that's the worst part about it. The marijuana thing, who cares? I don't care about marijuana. It's not, to me, it's no worse than alcohol or anything else. But
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
but it's the money that's still involved in it, and people are greedy, and people are
I mean,
break into your house. If you think we got our house broke into because they thought we grew.
we
They
were
just
young.
Stole all
We
of
were
our
really
stuff,
young.
and they didn't find any money or weed, so they took what they
They
could.
took my $2 bill, my 32-inch TV, and my Wii. Joke was on them. They got nothing because we were young and we had nothing.
Well, let's put this in perspective. Let's place this back in, like, I don't know, during Prohibition, when the moonshiners were in the hills of the Smoky Mountains. I mean, the competition was the next a distillery.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean, you'd go and smash the competitor distillery so you can make the money. So I mean, it was just the flavor of the week at that time. It was
Yeah.
it was distilleries then because alcohol was illegal,
Yeah.
and now it's marijuana, but marijuana. There's no the stigma is disappearing with
It's
marijuana.
going away a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it honestly is in a positive way. Like, there was so much,
Absolutely.
like, people had the assumptions that, like, oh my god, if you smoke pot, you don't contribute to society. Like, I mean,
Oh
it was
my gosh,
just
yeah,
insane.
yeah.
The whole idea, like, plenty of stoners that do a lot more than people that go to church, and
Yeah.
like, it's just, this person's high half the time and they're a great human that does a lot of productive things. It doesn't make them a bad human, whereas there was always that stigma. I was raised with an ultra conservative family that there was a crazy stigma around it, and so they just, them pot growers and kids that smoke pot, and just going off about them. And then you're like, no, I went to school with them, they're nice kids. Like, it's like a generalization and a generational thing that, like, has gotten broken down over time. I mean, even not just for here, but in general, that it's like, no, that's kind of old school ideals of, like, hippies. And so
Yeah, it's. I mean, okay, I'm the youngest of six, and I mean, both my brothers ran a very successful business, and I mean, they're both big potheads, and I mean,
Yeah.
they're very successful, and I mean, I don't usually partake, but I mean, I have to take a DOT drug test every now and then, so I stay away, but I'm all for it, and I don't hide that from anybody.
No, and that's what I mean in this area. Like, I feel like it's gotten a lot better, where it's not like if you do it, you're one type of person. Whereas more people, like, you can be any walk of life. Lots of people, you will meet wonderful people from every walk of life, and they can use it responsibly, just like alcohol. Like, there's plenty of people that it can abuse anything, probably worse in a lot of other things. So growing up here, it made like we're numb to certain things, but at the same time, I feel like it made me more accepting of a lot of things.
Absolutely. So I've had this conversation with other people, but I grew up in a, like you said, in a conservative family, and so my brothers did it, but my parents didn't really know, so they were always, marijuana's bad. So I'm to the generation. I'm 39. I have my 14-year-old son, so I'm into the position now where I think marijuana is fine, and so my point being is, if my 14-year-old son was to go to a party, I'm not saying at 14, at 16 years old, let's say something like that, would I rather have him drink, 6-7 beers and get drunk and try to drive home, or would I rather him smoke a joint?
Yeah.
And the stigma, to me, like, it's so embedded into our society and generation that marijuana is bad, but beer and alcohol is completely legal.
Just fine. It's
it doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, I don't want him driving on either, but
no, I know, yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? You see your point, yeah.
Well, the only scary thing, especially for people that are places that's not really legal, is you don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
You don't know any of that. Like, here we can go to a dispensary and buy safe, stuff that you trust. Hopefully, you can trust.
There are a lot of kids here that,
but some of these other ones, you don't know. You don't know where it's coming from.
They're lacing all sorts of things.
That's the only scary part. Alcohol you buy from the stores.
You're opening a can. You're opening a beer. You know what's in it, basically.
No, I agree.
I agree. That would be the only thing that would scare me. But,
yeah.
Like I said, stuff that you get from a dispensary, gummies, whatever. Whatever. No, doesn't matter. It's the same effect, same. But,
you feel like that's a pretty safe source.
Yeah.
I laugh because I am not like, I don't smoke all the time, right? But I do have a pen, and my son came in, and I didn't put it away, and he grabs it. He was 6. Says, "Is this a weed pen?" No. I'm so. And then he's like, "Well, what is it then? Tobacco? Because that made it better?" No, it didn't make it better. I have no idea.
Right.
Like, I got in the spot with my 6-year-old grilling me. And
Yeah.
Like, why would you say that? And he's like, I thought you smoked weed. And I was like, oh, who did you tell that to? And I'm so worried that he's gonna be like telling his teachers, be like, my mom smokes weed. Like, but at the same time, like,
It doesn't. Yeah.
this is where we live. All the teachers are probably high, but I'm like,
Yeah.
it's still stigma, and I'm just like, no. And I'm sitting there going, don't call me a weed pen. Oh my god! I'm just laughing. Because then I say it's tobacco, like I'm saying tobacco is better. It's the stigma. It was just the whole like
It's a stigma, yeah.
the shock, the like, oh no, you can't tell people because people might judge me. But at the same time, I don't judge people that do it. So I mean, I don't judge no one on that basis whatsoever. So again, it's the whole fear of people judging you, but at the same time.
The first time we went to Colorado, and my oldest son was probably 10, and so we're getting into Colorado. We're getting into the more populated areas, and he's all of a sudden he stops and he's looking at all these signs. I mean, I see the signs for dispensaries and different marijuana things, and I mean, obviously the kid can read, So finally he goes, "Is marijuana legal here?" And I was just like shocked. I'm like, yeah. He goes, really? He goes, that's weird. And so that was kind of like the first time like he read it and then he like spoke out to me about it, So I'm like, that was it was kind of that stigma, that parent stigma.
Yeah.
mode, popped in. But it's no stigma, and I mean, since then, I mean, I don't hide it from them. I mean, like if friends of mine are doing it, they're like, they still try to hide it a little bit. But
for sure.
I said it's okay because I mean, I drink a beer in front of my son.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
like, Mom, can you go get mommy a beer out of the fridge? Which one do you want? I want
perfect.
the one that has this on it. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it shouldn't be any different.
Yeah. No, it is the stigma, and that's what, like, when I was so taken aback, and I made it sound like it was better that I was smoking tobacco. And I just wanted, like that was the better choice at the time. I'm thinking back, nah, I handled that poorly. Sometimes in your parenting moments, and you're like, could have done that differently. Oh well,
Okay, so let's reel it back in and head the other direction. So you are in a beautiful country with with marijuana fields covering the hills, and you get to drive your awesome Toyotas through some spectacular places. Like your Instagram is just full of some really spectacular photos, and it looks like you get to visit some really, really cool places. So tell me about where you're at and what kind of adventures you get to take and all that.
So it started before COVID. We would do things. We've always been campers and stuff like that, but not like necessarily taking pictures of that, right? Like that wasn't the things we took pictures of. It was like, oh, pictures of the kids doing this, pictures of that.
Right.
Didn't take pictures of the rigs. He always did. I didn't. I felt like a bad mom at that point, and now I probably have more pictures of the 4Runner in my phone than my kids on certain trips. But I used to, when my old employer, I got to travel a lot. I got to go places. I got to see things. They were always cities because that's where everything was. But so I was really, like, when COVID happened, we just felt so trapped, and so we started just literally trying to do whatever we could whenever we could. We would go and we would do things, and then we would just venture out. So it turned into basically my first, I don't know where I'm at on the screen. I went away. But anyways, so the first thing I ever really posted with the 4Runner was after Christmas.
Okay.
So I had some pictures
this
before
past
that.
year?
Yeah. So it was basically the day after Christmas. We went up to somewhere called Whole Mountain, which is where we go and we cut our Christmas trees. It's like the highest elevation closest to us.
Okay.
And so we went up there and we did a bunch of stuff. We took pictures and I posted it, and I was like, because I never posted pictures with the 4Runner before, because it just never, like, it was just not things that I had posted.
Yeah.
And then that took off, and then I just started posting more and more stuff of the places that we went, because I realized how much I like to see new places and go places myself. And so I was like, no, I'm just going to post more and more things. And then Tuesdays started randomly, like in February, March. It was like in March that started. So I just basically, once I started posting things, I started meeting different women in the community.
Okay.
And then we started posting more and more stuff. So like I said, I hate staying home. I hate being home. Like, being home is literally the biggest drag for me. So anytime I can go out and do anything, since we are so close to the Redwoods, I love to go to the Redwoods. Like, my biggest thing, again, we keep talking about moving. It'll probably be Colorado of all places, but it'll probably be Colorado.
Yeah.
Away from the ocean, which is the scariest part. So we go to the Redwoods pretty regularly, and then go to the ocean. We go camping in a place called Utah, which lots of people in the Bay Area and stuff will post about when they go. It's a campground that you have to drive. It's about 25 minutes if you're making pretty decent speed. It's mostly washboard. Depends on how washed out it gets throughout the year and season. And it's a campground that's not organized in the sense of there's no spots, but there is like outhouses like randomly placed throughout it. But it's one of the few beaches that you can drive on in our state, there's not a lot of beaches that you're allowed to do that on, and the sand is black. So we go camping
Oh,
quite
okay.
a bit. So it's like a
Okay.
black sand beach, and it's considered Lost Coast. So it's like the very northern tip of our county, butting up against the southern tip of Humboldt.
Okay.
So we post a lot of stuff when we go there. We got to do a couple of Pure events, so Pure 4x4. We got to do that in Tahoe area, which Tahoe is beautiful. We haven't got to go there much this year, which is sad. My brother, my whole family left me for Nevada. So that's why I go to Nevada quite a bit.
Okay.
So
Okay.
my whole family left me. Casey won't go to Nevada, so I'll have to figure something else out. But we're going there next weekend. So we're hopefully
Okay.
going to hit up some hot springs. But right now the Forerunner is broken. It's broken.
Oh no.
It's broken. That was a bad morning.
My Forerunner hasn't been here in 2 weeks because I broke it as well. So I feel you.
Oh God, I was just like, I looked at him and I was like, we're going to Nevada. We aren't going to go. Like, we can't even go to, like, I wanted to go to the random mass hot spring we went to last Thanksgiving, because I'll say that was probably the first few times I started really posting pictures of the Forerunner. It was probably when we went last weekend after Thanksgiving. It was that before Christmas. And so there's this amazing, like, hot springs, but that whole area had burned up in fires this last year because the Sierras, another reason everybody knows where we're from, everything is on fire all the time.
Yeah.
So this year has had a lot of bad fires this year, really, really bad. And so that hot spring had gotten burnt up. But Nevada has so many hot springs. And so I looked at Casey and I've been looking at the weather, and there's actually not supposed to be any weather. So we're going to take the Les Baru because, let's be honest, it gets like 20, it depends on the freeway, but 28 miles per gallon instead of like 8. So that's the one good thing when it comes into play is it's 8 miles per gallon, or not 8 miles per gallon.
So I've got a Subaru also. I've got a Subaru Forester.
Do you
So
have a Forester?
I do. My Forester is my daily, and then my Forerunner's my weekend warrior. So we're on the same page.
My son is so huge. He's going to outgrow the Subaru before I know it. But Casey keeps talking because another thing because we really considered moving to Colorado. He has a job there if we go. And so he's like, oh, I'll start driving, where I would want to live. Because my daughter being on the spectrum, I've kind of like thought about that. So I want to live in a bigger place because where we live now has a really small population. My entire county has 90,000 people. My county is huge. Like, my county is huge. I mean, so the entire county has 90,000 people. Ours is the biggest seat in the county. It's the seat in the county. It's the biggest town in the county, and it has 25,000 people.
Okay.
And that's what we have. So it's a really, like, there's not a lot of population. If I need any services for her, I have to go all the way out of our town. There's not a lot here. So when we've talked about going to Colorado, I've looked into, where his job is and what would be the best place for services for her. And I'm like, you'll have to take the Subaru. Because, like, if we're living here where the job is, you'll have to commute. And he's already talking about getting a lift kit for it and this, not like you're taking away all the perks that thing has. The only perks that thing has is the gas mileage, and it's a Subaru and it'll never die.
It's not about the gas mileage, it's about how cool it looks.
It's so true. He's like talking about it. I'm like, it's the Les Baru. Like, if I could like put that on the plate and just have like Les Baru, I probably would. I mean, my son calls it that.
That's hilarious.
Cider.
IPAs, huh?
I know. I'm a dirty hippie. Ask my husband.
Oh, I cannot do IPA.
But look at this. So the brewery around here is called Anderson Valley, and so all of their logos have a beer on it. A beer.
Okay.
So it's a bear and a deer mixed together. So all of them have beer on it.
I get it.
No.
I actually like that.
I love their logos. I know these are all like local things. You gotta drink the local things, right?
Well, I'm drinking so the podcast is called STL, so that's obviously St. Louis, but I'm actually an hour south of St. Louis, in a small town myself, 6,000 population. So I mean, it's a little
Mhm.
country town. But this
Mhm.
is a local beer. This is O'Fallon. Okay, maple, bacon, pumpkin, spiced red ale.
That is sweet. Is that sweet?
Um,
It sounds sweet. I do like
it's
red.
delicious.
I like red. I like
Sweet.
red.
Yeah, I guess you'd call it sweet. And I'm not typically a sweet person, but okay, call me what you will. I am a sucker for pumpkin anything.
Oh, you're basic.
I'm basic. I'm basic.
You're basic.
Call me what
So-
you will. I love it.
I know. Well, there's local ciders around here because I love beer, but I try to have less gluten in my life. I love
Okay.
beer, obviously. Like that's like my thing. If I could be a traveling beer, like if I could just go places and drink beer and tell people how amazing it is and meet strangers, that would be my dream life. But I feel shitty when I drink a shit ton of beer. I just feel like slow-mo, and it's probably because I love IPAs. Like give me like a double, give me a triple. Like my happy place is a triple IPA. Like
What?
give me
Oh my
give me-
god.
give me a 9% to 11% IPA, and I'm just like, oh, happy place. But I like there's good stuff around here. So this is like a local cider,
Okay.
and it's a brute, which means it's more bitter because I don't like sweet either. Obviously, I like IPAs. I like bitter things. I like gin. Like I'm like a random human, so
Okay.
I like gin and IPAs, and then my husband likes pilsners and whiskey. So we're like
Yeah.
polar opposites. Like if we go anywhere, basically we cover all the bases of things. But he bought these the last time because ciders usually run. I'm like that. I'm like, I want to have more alcohol. If I'm gonna pay money for it, I want it to have more bang for my buck. And these ciders run at 6.9%. So that's a good happy place.
That's decent. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
But IPA, I've tried. Don't get me. I've tried.
Have you tried hazy? Hazies are there is like,
Easy. Okay.
so it's sweeter. They usually have like a fruity hint to them. Not sweet. They're never sweet because IPAs
Okay.
always have that bite.
Right.
They're really hoppy. They're bitter. But hazies a lot of people can do because there's like an offset of almost like a fruit to them. Listen to me, I sound interesting. But I can get there's one IPA because we'll go places and we'll get flights and then
Yeah,
be
yeah.
like, okay, I like this stuff, tastes like this stuff because we live by Russian River Brewing, which is like an amazing brewery. They're not that far away from us, basically like 45 minutes.
Okay.
So when people come here and visit, we love to take them because we took Super Dirty White was her user handle. So when she came to visit me, that's where I took her. Like I like to take people there. Like other friends that follow me from across the U.S., a lot of them know what Russian River is because they like Pliny the Elder's. Like Pliny the Younger is a big deal, but Pliny the Elder's
Okay.
a beer that lots of people like. So we take them there. But when you get a flight, you get every single thing that's on a tap.
Right.
So if it's tapped at that time, so you can have like their flights are like a big bar, like this big of just tons of beer. Sours are starting to take off on the West Coast. They're garbage compared to the East Coast, honestly. Like sours over here, I generally can't do. When I've been to the South, I can do a sour. It's probably the humidity, and they can just make them better.
That's weird too, isn't it? Like the different parts of the country, the way things are made.
Yeah.
The whiskey and the bourbon in Kentucky and Tennessee compared to every place else is it's not the same.
Yeah. No, it is. It's like true. So I don't know if it's because I'm the West Coast, but I like West Coast IPAs more. But every time I go somewhere, one of my best girlfriends, so I do a lot of like adventures with her. Her name's Sierra. It's like Any Given Fun Day. So we just did Nevada stuff together, and she lives in Vegas. So we take turns visiting each other. She's the one who took the pictures that I'm going to post for the next 2 months because I'm stuck at home. So she loves sours, like loves them. And when we go places, sometimes I like some of her sours, and sometimes she can get on board with like one of my IPAs. But we always joked around that we should be traveling beer reps. So when she was thinking of moving to Atlanta, which she obviously didn't end up doing, she moved back to Vegas. We hit up like local breweries everywhere there, and I was like, I can drink sours here. Like everywhere I wanted a sour. And then I get home and I order a sour and I'm all, nope, no. Like, can't drink this. This tastes like crap. Why can't we make a sour on the West Coast? You go to our beer fest and people are like, it's a sour. And I'm like, I don't even want to try it. Like, thank you. Nope, I'm good.
But
Hi, Turkey.
your wine is on point. So
Yes.
I mean, like so it's wild. Actually, right? Well, I mean, I guess it's what you grew up with, though. I mean, we live in my particular area. There's quite a bit of wineries around here, so there's some phenomenal wines within a 100-mile radius of where I'm at. It's there's some really nice wineries, so I gotta hand it to the wine country right here as well. But I've never been out there. I mean, so
That's
I don't know what to compare it to, really. No idea what to compare it to.
So we basically, like, where we live is, I like to call it this. It's like where wine meets weed, right?
Okay.
So it's like wine country, weed country. We're right here in the middle. So where
Okay.
we're at, there's lots, like Casey had said, there's a lot of vineyards around here. There's a lot of vineyards. Sometimes I'll post videos in the morning when I'm driving to work, and there's vineyards all over the place because it's just a very prevalent agricultural area for wine.
Yeah.
And so I love it because I've gone to Sonoma, which Sonoma and Napa are like the thing, right? When you go places, they're like, this is from Sonoma, this is from Napa. And you're like, oh, cool. Because you're from here. They mark up their wine so much. It isn't that it's bad. It's just we have some really good wineries in Mendocino County.
Yeah.
But because they're not the other counties,
Right.
I
get what you're saying.
I would much rather go wine tasting along like the Boonville, which is where that one brewery's from, like Boonville, Anderson Valley, Philo area. Like there's amazing wineries there that no one even knows about because they're so stuck on Napa. And Napa, you have to pay. Oh my God, you like walk in and you have to pay for your tasting, and then a lot of places will like waive the tasting fee if you buy a bottle of wine or give you like a discount on the bottle of wine, like other places. They're like money, because that's where, you know, people go in front of and take pictures in front of the Napa County sign and their like wine clothes and stuff like that. So my aunt's a winemaker for a winery in Sonoma County. Casey's dad works at a winery. My dad works for a company that makes wine capsules. Like wine is very like
apparently
most people work in the wine industry. Yeah, it's a big industry here. So my aunt, I remember when I was younger, because my mom and my aunt have a decent age gap, and my mom had me very young. So my aunt would always do a lot of stuff with me, and she was almost like a big fun older sister. And I remember when she would give me wine when I was younger, and she was like, try this. And I'm like, oh, this is gross. And every time I try it, I didn't like it. And then I moved to New Zealand.
Oh, what?
And I realized I liked wine in New Zealand. And she was like, you moved across the world and you decided you liked wine. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what happened. So
okay, my God. So we just took another spin here. First question now. So you're an IPA drinker. So where do you land at on the wine chart?
I'm definitely a red.
Okay.
White I can do when it's really hot, and it has to be really cold. I like champagne too. So like obviously I'm drinking a brut. I like bitter things. So red wines run more bitter, white wines run more sweet. So I like super dry champagne.
Yeah, I'm a super dry red.
Yeah, I like dry champagne, Pinot Noir, and so I just like basically there's a lot of local wineries around here too. So I like to go like families. Like you always know everyone in the family. Like this is the best thing about being here. I went out to the bar are really local, because we live in a place called Roto Valley, which is off of Ukiah, which is it's very, very small. I mean, there's a gas station, a Mexican restaurant, a bar, a fire department, and a grocery store.
Perfect.
And that's what you
Perfect.
get. When you go to
Yeah.
Roto Valley, this is what you get. So we went out to the bar there, and there's just all the people that you've known from forever, and you see everyone, and it's like, oh, so-and-so's family has this winery, and so-and-so's family does this. And so I never thought I'd be like a wine club member person. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's just not my thing, but they're like family, and they're amazing. So there's a winery around here called like Testa, and it's like, has this pond, and the other day all of our stuff went down, and there was a fire, and I had the kids. I think it's California, there was a fire. Go figure. And so I wasn't at work, and so I just went there, and it was so nice because my kids could play in the pond with their like 5 dogs running around and drink wine, and you could sit there, and became a wine club member just because. I mean, I should show you some of the labels. Their labels are like old family pictures, like they're old Italian
Okay.
family, just like black and white labels, like, and it's just family pictures. It's pretty fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, okay. I know. California is pretty. I don't know. I'm jealous. I mean, California sounds pretty awesome. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. I don't know, because politically, I don't know if I could do it, but it's just
You can't. It's
yeah.
depressing.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to keep, go too political on the podcast, but I mean, I'm pretty conservative, but
It's broken here. I mean, we're broken. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of broken things with our state. It's a disaster.
you can't even use gas weed eaters now or something, like gas leaf blowers. I
Yeah,
see that on the
no,
news. Oh my god!
that was a fun conversation with my dad and my husband the other night.
Oh my god!
How do you monitor this? What are they gonna like? Oh, God. I mean, our PG&E, our electricity, I know it's not the craziest in the country because I've talked to other people, but our electricity is crazy expensive because PG&E keeps getting lawsuits because the lines keep getting blown over and starting fires that cause billions and trillions of dollars of
Yeah.
damage. So in order for them to pay all these legal fees out, they're upping their prices. But I actually watched something that was probably the most useful. It was like made for children. It was like cartoons and
Okay.
stuff mixed into it. Of course, they're like, we need to dumb this down for people. About how PG&E was required, they need to find renewable energy. So instead of spending money maintaining all the power lines that are already in place, they're spending money trying to come up with ideas of how to make renewable energy work because they're required to have that by XYZ date. So all of the lines are getting ignored and none of that's being done. So it's just broken.
So it's okay. That right there, what you just said with the power lines, that actually hits close to home, because I am by trade I guess my technical title is a line clearance specialist. So I actually clear the vegetation from the power lines. So I've been in the industry
They don't do
for
shit like that anymore here.
I've been in the industry for 15 years. So I used to do clear the lines that would go to your house. We trim the trees in Missouri. It's a fantastic job. We do a really good job of it. We're on a 4 to 6 year cycle, depending on rural to suburb. And now I'm on the cross country lines. So the high voltage power lines that that go across the country.
My brother's a lineman, so he works.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. So I mean, like here in Missouri, there's I don't know. We keep the lines clear, and we're what we think is we've always been assumed that we're federally regulated, that we have to have these lines cleared. And I mean, Missouri is a conservative state, but I mean, I'm not against renewable energy, because I mean, renewable energy is a good thing, a good idea. It's a good idea.
No, it's not dismissing that.
Yeah, but there.
I mean, don't
you
get me
have
wrong.
to
I'm the
keep
chick
the
that will hug
structure.
a tree. Like
Yeah.
I've got balance. Like there's positives, and then there's the fact that they're spending all their money trying to figure out how to make this work to make the state happy, which has in turn, I had to explain to my kids the other day when we were driving through Fountain Grove, which is an area that burnt the same year that we almost lost our house.
Wow.
Like we got evacuated in the middle of the night, fires everywhere, red glow, 1 a.m., running out with nothing. I mean, we left with nothing. We left with our 2 dogs, our kids, and what we were wearing because it was that bad.
That's
So we did that, and that same night there was a fire in Sonoma County. And of course, I mean, that was, they clocked it, and the winds were blowing 80 to 100 miles an hour. So that means the
What?
flames were blowing 80 to 100 miles an hour that night. It was
Holy
considered a
shit.
blowtorch. It jumped a freeway at one spot that was 8 lanes wide. Concrete
Wow.
freeway, 8 lanes wide. Because when you have a blowtorch blowing that hot and that fast,
Yeah.
jump freeways. So Fountain Grove caught on fire. Fountain Grove is like $1 million homes left and right. That's
Okay.
what it is. So we're going to a birthday party for family that lives a little bit past Fountain Grove, and the kids are looking. I'm like, you guys remember when we had to leave, when our house almost burned down? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, all of these people's houses burned down, all of them. And you're just looking, and most of them have been rebuilt, which is, I mean, not most of them, a lot of them have been rebuilt. So there's lots of brand new houses, all these houses everywhere, and the kid's like, that house is huge. I'm like, well, these people are millionaires, so there's that too. But I'm like, and I'm trying to explain, like, they lost everything they had. They lost all their pictures, all their things.
Yeah.
And my kid's like, they got new things, and I'm like, yep, that's the kid. Like, that's the only way they can look at it. But it's kind of traumatizing. This is, knock on wood, we haven't had a PSP. We have things called PSPs.
Okay.
They
I'm not aware of
intentionally
that.
shut our power off if there's high winds. Up to
What?
5 days. They're like,
Are
hey,
you kidding me?
it's awful. They
What
intentionally
in the hell is
cut
going
power
on
to
out
the
there?
lines. They cut the power to the lines if there's high winds. Because if a tree limb rows down, hits a line, starts a fire, and the winds are that high, they can't keep up with it. Because they don't do control burns anymore.
Oh my god.
There's not the maintenance done on the lines like there should be. So we have things called PSP. So like when you see Californians and we're like, yay, it rained. We're honest to God happy that it rained, because green grass means not freaking fire starter all over the ground.
Okay,
this year
so
we actually had fires, or we had rains in October, which we never get anymore. When I was a kid, it always rained in October, and then
Okay.
not anymore. It doesn't do that anymore. So our rain generally stops mid-May, and
Okay.
we don't see rain again until October.
Okay, so there's several questions I've had, and this one question I'm getting ready to ask is something I've always kind of wanted to ask somebody from California. But
Right?
okay, so you have incredible vineyards out there, and I mean, and wheat grows, and you have this incredible agricultural system out there.
Mhm.
How?
So we personally have a well. We have a wonderful well.
Okay.
We're on our own water. We have a great well. It doesn't work when they cut your power, but
Yeah.
it's super terrible. More people here own generators than you would ever think, because it just became the thing to do, right? We all have to buy. Do you want to have power in October and November? Yeah, well, you should probably buy a generator. And that just started basically since all the crazy fires of I think 2017 was the really bad
Okay.
year. And they just started doing that. It's like, all right, well, you know what? There's high winds, and they call it red flag warning. Red flag warning is coming into effect on this day to this day. You're not going to have power. We're turning it off. We won't turn it back on until this day.
What is high wind?
I think they call it at like 40 or above.
Okay, well, I mean, That's pretty high wind.
Yeah. No,
So
we
is
get
that
crazy winds.
Pretty common.
We
Okay.
We do. We get really crazy winds. Like our windy time of year just happens to be like October, November, but that also happens
Right.
to be the driest point of our years. So no water has hit the ground in so many months. All the
Right.
grass is brown. All the trees are pretty dry. We have a lot of oaks around here. So the oaks are basically all dried out at that point, and everything just turns into kindling. So if there's basically anything, like if wind blows, a limb onto a line that just so happens to make a connection, start a fire, the winds blow. And when we had fires here, there was people's insulation from their houses landing like a mile away in other people's yards because it'd be on fire floating through the air blowing.
Okay, so like in my industry, like I said, we trim the power lines to prevent these kind of things from limbs landing on the wires. So this is a common thing, and it's a big industry in our area. Well, I mean, throughout Missouri, and I'm going to say the Midwest, just as far as I know. So like I'm going to say today would have been considered like what we call, like, I guess, a high wind, which is like 25 miles an hour. Maybe 30 mile an hour gust. That's really about like the extent of like a fall day here. But and with that, there does come power outages, which would be, like a tree coming in contact with a wire. But I don't know if it's the power company or what we actually do, but there's a lot of safety measures taken. So, I mean, if there's a limb that hits a wire, a fuse kicks and the power's out immediately. There's no chance for a fire to start usually. I mean, there are, small fires started, but like a wildfire here in Missouri is a very, very rare thing. And I'm going to say,
you
like,
guys see rain. So like, what is your
well, let's see, tomorrow we have an 80% chance of rain.
So I will never forget
Once a week.
first time. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we have solid months of not a drop in the sky.
Yeah.
So everything is just so dry. Things become so much easier to catch on fire. The first time I ever really traveled anywhere outside of the West Coast I remember I went to Chicago in August.
Okay.
And it was like raining. Like, oh, it's gonna be cold. And I got off the plane. I'm like, oh my god! Like I like West Coast people, we don't even know how to do with it. People are like, could you move? I'm like, I don't think I can move past Colorado. Like, I don't know how to handle that. My body is not equipped to like rain and heat at the same time, or like breathing water. I don't know how to breathe water. Everything is so dry here, and where I'm at is not as dry as other places. I go to Nevada and I can feel like the moisture leaving my skin.
Yeah.
But it's just because it gets so dry here, it makes it so much easier for things to catch on fire, and
Right.
it's so
So what's
crazy.
the-
Everything's so dead.
What's the temperature there? Like, I mean, I know, like, I mean, just from watching TV, like Los Angeles is perfect weather all year long. So like, where
Yeah,
you're
they're
at, what's
moderate.
okay?
Here, much more. We still don't get snow.
Okay.
So like, we get to freezing temperatures, but when we get to freezing temperatures is when it's a clear sky.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
So when everything, like the pipes freeze, like if it gets down to 19 degrees, there's not a cloud in the sky. The pipes are
Right,
going to freeze because there's not a cloud in the sky. We rarely get snow. Last year, we actually got snow that hit our valley floor. I think I looked it up. I think we're at 900 elevation.
Okay.
So we actually had snow hit the valley floor and like accumulate, which never happened. So it's like your childhood dream where you live there. Like,
Yeah.
oh, snow that stuck to the ground. All of our trees, all of the trees broke everywhere and fell on
Wow. Yeah.
our
Yeah.
power lines because our trees are not meant to withstand the weight of snow. Like the
Right.
oak trees,
Yeah.
they don't have that. Redwood trees, the redwood trees in our backyard. Redwood trees do not hold snow. Okay, that's not what they do. They're not snow bearing trees. So we when we're really cold, which our coldest month is January, we can get down into the teens. It's usually in the 20s. And then our highs are usually in the like low 50s.
Okay.
But then our summers, the nights can be in the 60s and get up to 100 and something. We have crazy temperature swings. Our swings are like, I didn't realize until I became friends with more people from across the country. Our temperature swings are very intense. Like at night, we open up all of our windows because it cools down so much. But then it could be 108 that day. But that night could have been 64.
Okay. Well, I mean, like your highs. I mean, Missouri, like the
It's
weather
way different.
is
It's way
soft.
different.
Yeah. I mean, 108 is pretty extreme. But you're more of a dry heat too, though, right?
Yeah, we are a lot drier. So like, when they do the whole like real feel where they kind of
Yeah.
factor in things, ours is the same. Ours isn't a different number. Like when it says it's 108, our real feel will say 108. Like there's not a humidity factor that adds in of more of a like extreme temperature to the mix. Like right now, right now it is 7:14 p.m. and I am on Fort Bragg, which is the coast. It is 55 degrees outside. Today our high was 68 and our low is going to be 46.
Okay, so your temperature swing is, it probably is more because right now it's 65 degrees out, and today it was like 75. But okay, your temperature swing is probably pretty similar to ours here, but like if it's like in July and August, if it's 90 degrees out, the real feel can be like 110.
Yeah, no.
And that's
in the summer when it's
absurd.
90s,
Yeah.
we're like, yay! This last summer was a really hot summer. A lot more triple digit days than normal. But at the same time, I will take a triple digit day here over like high 80s, low 90s in a lot of places because since I did get to travel for my last job, I got to experience what it was like in other places.
Yeah.
And so it was like a whole, it's way like ours is more tolerable. I'll call it tolerable. It's like more of a tolerable heat. It is way dry. You go to the shade, it's a big difference, like drastic difference from heat to the shade. And there's no humidity in our air. Like our humidity levels in the summer generally run like 20%.
Oh wow. Yeah, we're at like 80 to 90.
Yeah. So I mean like ours always start high. We have a pretty decent dew point here. So like our mornings are like a higher humidity level, which is usually like around 60 probably, which is higher for us for sure.
Yeah.
And then by the end, like later throughout the day, it goes down.
That's nice. that's nice.
Like, see, there's few things that keep us here. That's why people live here. We're like, we like the weather and the atmosphere.
You have so much cool shit out there. I mean, like I've never been to California. And I mean, I've never been to the West Coast. The Colorado is as far west as I've ever been able to travel so far. But there's so much on the West Coast that I want to see. From the Washington State coast all the way down to the Southern California coast. There's really, really neat stuff.
The West Coast has such, like, it's so different along the way. Basically, my phone is dying. Oh, it's like mad at me. So the West Coast Seattle is super fun. Obviously, it's a city. But Seattle's really fun. It's just very chill, Bill. Like, you can do different things from like the underground. Basically, like Seattle's built on top of Seattle.
Okay.
So like it like sunk down in the silt, and then they just built on top of it. So there's like
Right.
basically a city below the city, and there's lots of wonderful beer in Seattle. People are very like laid back. The Pacific Northwest is like, I associate with that. Yes, I'm from California, but I love the Pacific Northwest. Oregon coast is the most beautiful thing you'll ever see.
Oh
whole
my
way
God,
along
I want to
along
see
the
that.
101. So we live on the 101. So basically, after us is in Humboldt is where it cuts up to the coast, and then it follows the coastline up into Washington.
Okay.
So Oregon coast is amazing. The Rogue River is where my childhood, like whenever we could pick, when kids are like, oh, I want to go to do this for summer, we would pick going camping on the Rogue River.
Okay.
That was like our thing as kids. And then like Northern California, so there's like Humboldt County, and it's really pretty there. That's where all the redwoods are. People, again, very friendly people. I would just call them that. Like everybody's just like a stereotypical stoner in a sense. They're just like, hey, what's up, man? Like
Yeah, yeah.
we went up to a brewery up there for Casey's birthday, because we have our birthdays are 4 days apart. It's terrible.
Okay.
It's like, yay, it's my birthday. Just kidding, it's yours. So we went up there and we went to a brewery up there, which is one of the ones that I had. And it's just, everybody's so nice, so friendly. And you're in the redwoods and chill. It's like Eureka area. It's actually on our state medallion, and then you get down to our county, and it's like when you're starting before you get to Bougie, right? So we're like before Bougie.
Okay.
And then Sonoma, you start getting bougie, and then you get down to Marin County in the Bay Area. And San Francisco, I mean, the homeless make it terrible, but San Francisco is a beautiful city, like to see. The Golden Gate Bridge, still to this day, like every time I go anywhere for travel, like I love to drive across the Golden Gate Bridge my whole life. Driving across the Golden Gate Bridge always means like something fun's happening. So Golden Gate Bridge is beautiful. Fisherman's Wharf is fun, doing the San Francisco, and then you get farther south and Santa Cruz, you get back to the whole like skater chill bill vibe.
Okay.
And then you get farther south, and then you start getting into the plastics.
Okay. Okay.
So, but at the same time, the beaches are amazing. Like, and then you get down to San Diego, and it's like Northern California transplanted into Southern California. Like, people in San Diego are just very laid back. They have very amazing Mexican food because they are right on the border. So if you want really good Mexican food, San Diego is. I'm half Mexican, and I'm like, I think San Diego has better Mexican food than we do.
Okay.
But yeah, people associate like California with San Francisco. We are not. I mean, not San Francisco. They associate us with LA or San Francisco. There's a lot of other people outside of that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, because like I'm on the adventure side of things, within the countryside of things. So like me, my persona of California. Well, I'm gonna. This is sound harsh, but when I first think California, it's politics, and then second, it's like Yosemite and the redwoods and Tahoe. These are things that I've seen and I envy, and that I want to go to so bad. Like Yosemite to me. I mean, I'm sure you've been. I'm sure you've.
No, see, that's what I was just gonna say. Most embarrassing thing ever. I have never been to Yosemite. I've been to Yellowstone as of last year.
Oh wow, okay.
It was breathtaking. I've never been to Yosemite. I've never been to Yosemite. Like, it breaks my heart, and so, like, Casey and I keep talking about it, but.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that incomplete conversation. It really, I mean, it was long enough to get the point across, but it was one of my favorite podcasts. I told her later on that it was like one of those 90 corded phone conversations where it's 2:00 in the morning and you got the cord ran down the hallway into your room or wherever you're hiding under the dining room table or something, and it was no, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. But that's kind of what it felt like in the end, because it was just a really good conversation. It really was. I enjoyed the conversation as just a conversation more than I did a podcast. Every once in a while I had to reel myself back in and kind of realize that I'm still doing the podcast, not just having a phone call conversation. But it was really nice. It was really fun, and it was kind of neat to have a perspective of somebody that's not here in the Midwest. I mean, California to me is a foreign world. not even. I mean, it's a foreign world. Honestly, I mean, California is completely different. Not just geographically, but I mean everything. I mentioned politically in there even too. But California is different. It's definitely a different world, and it's neat to get a little bit of perspective and a little insight to what it was. But then in the end, it was very neat to see how similar it was as well, as far as well as her as just a person, and the conversations and what we were able to relate to and bring in together. It was just a really, really enjoyable conversation. I just I know I keep saying that and beating that horse, but it really was. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it and having the conversation. And I really do hope to have her on once again. And hopefully I'll get this recording situation figured out and be able to bring it to you even better next time. But anyways, until next time, hey, get found outdoors.